Have you ever taken a moment to observe how certain individuals constantly discuss money, yet their financial situation seems to remain stagnant? They dedicate countless hours to studying, meticulously crafting plans, and designing vibrant spreadsheets, but ultimately, they find themselves trapped in a cycle of debt, immobilized, and attributing their struggles to bad luck or destiny. The reality is that achieving wealth is not solely dependent on the amount you earn. It hinges far more on your personal habits and mindset. Moreover, some behaviors that appear commonplace are precisely the obstacles preventing you from attaining true financial success. That's precisely why, in this video, we will explore 5 distinct types of people who are highly unlikely to amass wealth, along with practical advice on how you can steer clear of these pitfalls. It might feel uncomfortable to confront these truths, but that discomfort is a compelling reason to stay engaged until the very end. Let's dive into the first category of individuals who struggle to progress: the person overwhelmed by an intense fear of failure. This fear halts all progress before it even gets underway. This apprehension can paralyze people in various ways. Some avoid investing because they dread losing their hard-earned money. Others refrain from launching a business due to the terror of potential failure. And then there are those who hesitate to switch jobs, crippled by endless what-if scenarios. Consequently, they lead a constrained life, avoiding risks as though a single misstep would mark the end of their journey. However, that's far from the truth. Making mistakes is an integral part of the growth process. Every individual who has achieved significant success has encountered setbacks along the way. The key difference lies in their response. They refuse to let those stumbles define their future. Instead, they transform those experiences into motivation. Take Jeff Bezos, for instance, who left a secure position on Wall Street to establish an online bookstore in the 1990s. It wasn't that he lacked fear. Rather, he recognized that embracing risk was the essential entry fee to the game of success. And today, there's no need to elaborate on where that decision led him. This is a critical error made by those who never achieve wealth. They perceive the greatest risk as trying and failing. In truth, the most significant danger is never attempting anything at all. They remain confined within their comfort zones, where everything appears secure until they suddenly realize they've made no progress. And then what happens? They sit back, watching others thrive on their screens, lamenting, "Oh, if only I had that kind of money, I'd do the same." Yet, they never muster the courage to take that initial step. J.K. Rowling, the renowned author of the Harry Potter series, once wisely remarked, "It is impossible to live without failing at something unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all." This principle applies equally to the realm of personal finance. Those who insist on getting everything perfect from the start never advance beyond the fundamentals. They seek to invest without risk, launch a business without setbacks, or earn returns without exposure. However, wealth is not cultivated through excessive caution. It is forged through action, adaptability, and continuous learning. If you're waiting for an absolutely foolproof signal to take your first step, congratulations. You've likely been stationary for quite some time. Now, let's shift our focus to the second profile, which presents a stark contrast yet leads to an identical outcome: the individual who constantly complains but takes no action to improve. There are people who begin their day grumbling about their alarm clock, cursing the morning traffic, criticizing their workplace, the government, the weather, and even the cost of bread or coffee, all while maintaining enough energy to keep the complaints flowing. When you ask them, "All right, but what are you doing to address these issues?" their response is invariably a resounding nothing, just more complaining. This type of person builds nothing because they prefer to expend their energy on grievances rather than channeling it into constructive action. And let's be clear, complaining resolves nothing. It never has. Have you ever witnessed someone become wealthy simply by voicing their discontent? Of course not. Worse still, chronic complaining can have a detrimental effect on your brain. Research from Stanford University indicates that habitual complaining shrinks the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for problem solving. In essence, the more you complain, the less equipped you become to devise solutions. You essentially train your mind to fixate on what's wrong rather than how to rectify it. Additionally, excessive complainers often become adept at crafting excuses. They might say, "No one helps me, the system is rigged," or "If I had money." I'd take action. Yet, when a genuine opportunity arises, they conjure up reasons to avoid seizing it. Conversely, those who achieve wealth think differently. They acknowledge challenges but redirect their energy toward overcoming them. They express gratitude for what they possess while actively working toward their goals. They educate themselves, adapt to circumstances, experiment with new approaches, and understand that complaining doesn't settle their bills. If you find yourself spending more time lamenting about life than striving to improve it, perhaps the issue lies not with the world, but with your own approach to it. The third type of person unlikely to become wealthy is someone who believes they already possess sufficient knowledge. This trait can be deceptively subtle. After completing school, perhaps even college, they consider their educational journey complete. From that point forward, their routine consists of watching television, scrolling through social media, and paying bills. However, here's a vital caution. Your income is unlikely to surpass the limits of your knowledge. Individuals who study financial matters learn how to invest wisely. Those who master investing begin to multiply their earnings. People who delve into sales, marketing, and negotiation enhance the value they offer, and as a result, their income grows. Meanwhile, some assume they're well-informed simply because they've watched a handful of TikTok videos or skimmed motivational quotes on Instagram. It's akin to constructing a building with flimsy styrofoam bricks. It may appear sturdy on the surface, but it crumbles at the first real test of growth. Such individuals walk away muttering, "This just isn't for me." Yet they continue to fantasize about wealth built on the efforts and knowledge of others. Those who cease learning stop evolving. And this isn't merely a motivational platitude, it's a fact. In his book Atomic Habits, author James Clear succinctly captures this idea. Improving by just 1% daily may seem insignificant, but over time, it revolutionizes your trajectory. The progress might feel gradual, but it's those consistent small steps that ultimately transform everything. Building wealth relies more on steady effort than on fleeting luck, and that consistency stems from a sense of curiosity. Truly wealthy individuals never stop learning. They're always reading, enrolling in courses, seeking guidance from mentors, learning from their errors, and engaging in meaningful conversations. Why? Because they've realized that when the mind stalls, so does the money. If you believe you already know enough, your knowledge might be as outdated as a 2008 cell phone. Let's proceed to the fourth profile that undermines financial stability, the master of excuses. This person has honed a unique skill. They always find someone or something to blame. If a business venture fails, they point to the market. If they don't land a job, they blame the recruiter. If they struggle to make ends meet, they fault the government, the company, their zodiac sign, or even Mercury in retrograde. Yet, all these justifications share a common thread. They absolve you of responsibility while stripping away your ability to affect change. As long as the blame rests with others, you remain stagnant, awaiting a miracle. And let's face it, miracles don't cover bills. This individual never pauses to reflect. Did I truly invest effort? Did I learn from my mistakes? Did I do what was necessary or just what was convenient? Instead, they externalize everything and perpetuate the cycle. Something goes awry, they self-sabotage, and they blame the world. Here's a personal note. I once embodied this mindset. I blamed my country, my city, and the people around me. But nothing shifted until I stopped pointing fingers and started looking inward. And that's when my financial life began to improve. Taking responsibility isn't about self-blame. It's about seizing control. Those who focus on solving problems grow, while those who only seek scapegoats remain trapped. Finally, we arrive at the fifth and most prevalent type, the person who gives up easily. This individual starts with great enthusiasm, brimming with plans, motivation, and determination. But the moment the first challenge emerges, they abandon ship. They begin studying finance, realize wealth won't materialize in 3 months, and quit. They attempt to launch a business, see no immediate results, and give up. They start saving money, but when a difficult month arrives, they discard the plan entirely. And they still resort to the familiar refrain. "Oh, I've tried everything, but nothing works for me." That's a falsehood. They tried briefly and lacked the patience to see it through. In his book The Dip, Seth Godin describes that challenging midway phase between an enthusiastic start and true success, where most people throw in the towel. Yet, Those who persevere through adversity are the ones who ultimately reap the rewards. Consider Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek, who faced rejection from 25 publishers before his book was accepted. Had he quit after the 5th rejection, his name would be unknown today. Similarly, this channel wasn't my first endeavor. I experimented with different formats, ideas, and platforms, made mistakes, learned from them, adjusted my approach, and persisted. That's why I can confidently assert that consistency transforms an attempt into a triumph. Many brilliant minds were left behind because they surrendered too soon, while many ordinary individuals became wealthy simply because they refused to quit. If you're constantly hopping from one endeavor to another, abandoning anything that doesn't yield quick results, you'll never allow compound interest to work in your favor. You'll never witness a project mature, and you'll never establish a solid foundation for lasting success. So, take note. Consistency surpasses intensity. The person who progresses slowly but steadily outpaces the one who begins with fervor and gives up midway. If you recognized yourself in any of these profiles and are wondering what to do next, take a deep breath and relax. I've been there too, and that's why I can assure you that change is possible with awareness, discipline, and a positive attitude. You can develop new habits, achieve new outcomes, and reshape your relationship with money. But it all begins when you stop deceiving yourself and start taking responsibility. The truth is straightforward. Becoming rich isn't merely a matter of mathematics. It's a matter of behavior. If you enjoyed this content, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel to catch our next videos. A big hug, and I'll see you next time.